Hey, what is going on, everybody? It's Josh Thomas here, and I am joined by Rogers Base.
What's going on, everybody?
To discuss a topic very near and dear to my heart. Anybody that knows me will know that I love Captain Rainbow for the Wii.
Sure do.
And I love Skip in general as a company. I think they make tons of amazing games. Gift-Pia, Chibi-Robo, for example. The reason we're talking about Captain Rainbow is because recently Chris Pranger from Nintendo of America's Localization Treehouse.
Calling this man out by name, Josh.
Calling this man out by name. No, this is, like, for the record, this isn't a personal attack on him. It's a response to some of the things that he had to say about Captain Rainbow and the localization in general. I feel that his comments were a bit out of line and he was a little bit too snarky. And so, we're going to do a discussion about it, Roger.
I don't think he was being I mean, we'll get into this. I don't think he was being that snarky. I just think maybe he could have phrased it a little better.
He did not represent the company in the usual polite way, I feel.
Okay.
So actually, we should point this out. This is something that I think is worth pointing out. Recently, Nintendo changed its stance to where they are now allowing their employees to talk more about their job. And this is like the first person, I believe, who works at Nintendo who has kind of started to exercise that right. And I kind of feel like, maybe go back to not letting them talk about things anymore after this.
Oh, I wouldn't necessarily. I have a lot of friends who are in Treehouse. I wouldn't say that.
Well, he started it off on a really sour note. Let's put it that way. Okay. So anyways, let's actually talk about the things that he mentioned. And we'll let people listening decide whether or not he was a bit out of line and a bit rude to the audience.
Okay.
I
don't think, for the record though, Chris, you're listening, I don't think you were rude, buddy. So just like, I disagree with what you said though.
This is not a personal attack. I don't hate the guy in any way. I'm sure he's a great guy. I'm sure he does a lot of hard work at Nintendo. Awesome. This isn't a personal attack, but it's a response. As a fan of Captain Rainbow, it is a response to his comments. That's what I'm going to say it is. Okay, so he's talking about how people accuse Nintendo of not listening to their fans, and fans say stuff like, why do you hate money? Why do you hate money, Nintendo? And he says, it's like, what are you talking about? We're trying to make money, obviously. It has to make calculated risks, but at the same time, one of those risks... And I mean, they'll bring up games like the very Japanese game, Captain Rainbow, for instance. They'll bring that up like, how many people want this? No, they'll bring that up like, look how many people want this. Don't you want money, Nintendo? And we'll be like, yeah, we do want money, which is why we know it's a colossal waste to even try to localize that in this current market. Because look at you people. You do not make up a big enough group.
All right, so that little bit...
That end is rude.
Snarky.
That end is rude. Look at you people.
Look at you people.
That's a people. Yeah. That's borderline racist against Captain Rainbow fans.
You weeaboos who want to play Captain Rainbow and Disaster Day of Crisis. People. You people. Us people. We're so gross. Look at us people.
Oh, man. We don't make up a big enough group, so we should just shut up and go away, Roger.
Yeah. All right, well, keep going.
Okay, he says, we're joking around a bit here. He says, the hardest part for people to realize is how much money it takes sometimes to make a game like, if it's a Japanese game, to bring it over to the States. Not just translating and then localizing and marketing, because, Nintendo does such a great job marketing. But if it's a game that has substantial voice text, oh my goodness, that is a colossal cost to bring that over. And some games you look at and you're like, well, how are they going to bring that over? And it's like, well, they can't.
So right there, I actually want to talk about something, because he brought up the fact that, you need to have, all these other things in order to localize the game. I don't think that's the case with something like Captain Rainbow. I feel like...
there's no voice in Captain Rainbow, by the way.
No, and on top of that, too, like, that's a game you could very easily just translate the text and throw it up on Virtual Console.
Absolutely.
And people would buy it, because it's a weird kind of game. If you put that on eShop, I guarantee you would make your money back, just based off translation alone. I totally understand what he's saying, like, if they were going to release it as a disc-based game. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like in the era of the Wii... Had they released Captain Rainbow, it would have been a pretty big flop. But
it would have been a very challenging marketing situation, but I don't think it's impossible to have made Captain Rainbow a big enough success for the Wii.
I don't know. And this is even going almost like into a political topic, but like,
let's do it.
Even if you look at the sort of the environment of gay rights right now, and you look at the environment of gay rights 5 years ago when this game first came out, people are a lot more open. And I feel like Nintendo releasing a game called Captain Rainbow even if people, knew what it was about, a lot of parents would look at that and be like, why is this gay game on my Nintendo platform? I do honestly feel like that much would have been very hard to actually bring over and explain, especially with stuff like the Birdo subplot in the game. Like, I feel like there's a lot of stuff that would be difficult to explain to children. You gotta remember, children are still primarily Nintendo's audience, especially at the time of the Wii. It was like families and kids. I completely understand why they didn't want to bring that over. But nowadays, with the Wii U, I feel like they could have easily translated that game, thrown it up in the eShop, and then people would have been able to play it, give it a little bit of a chance. They don't have to do anything else to it. They don't have to take out any of the weird Japanese references. You throw it up there, with the hard T rating, and say, you know what, the game is what it is. We're not going to change anything of it. This is just how it is. And it wouldn't be like this is the first time Nintendo's done that, because they've released, what's the Castle Murasamajo or whatever? The game with Takamaru. They put that on Virtual Console with no translation. It's like an actual Japanese game. And mind you, that game does not have anywhere near the amount of text of Captain Rainbow, but I still feel like enough people would be open and willing to try Captain Rainbow now, especially if it was an eShop game.
So there's a few things that I have to respond about some of those topics. Okay, first of all, I really hate that Nintendo feels as though they need to babysit their audience. You're not the babysitter, Nintendo. You don't necessarily always have to think about what people are going to think of a game that you release. You don't always have to play it safe. Even friggin' Disney doesn't play it safe as much as Nintendo does when it comes to having an edge. Like, oh no, we can't put this game out about Captain Rainbow because people might think... First of all, Captain Rainbow really doesn't have much of anything to do with homosexuality. There's a couple things,
I know.
But he's just a quirky, colorful superhero. In fact, in Captain Rainbow himself has a crush on a female character.
Right.
So, I mean, Birdo is this weird, quirky character that has this whole situation where Birdo says that she's a girl, but the police officer thinks that Birdo is a boy. And
whoa! Don't make that the problem of the Birdo subplot. That's fine.
No. But then
that's fine.
Then
Her
Birdo
gender
gets thrown in
identity
jail.
are fine. It's
Birdo
the
gets
thing
thrown in
that's
jail.
found under Birdo's pillow, buddy. That's
right, but
thing.
I'm getting to that. So Birdo gets thrown in jail, and in order to help Birdo out of jail, you need to go find evidence that Birdo is in fact a woman, and that, she didn't commit a crime by using the woman's restroom. So you go to Birdo's house, and there's something vibrating under Birdo's pillow.
Oh, God.
You get it, and you bring it back to prove that Birdo is a girl. Well, first of all, that could easily be switched around. First, they don't show the
object.
The object in question.
Right.
They don't show the object in question. It is a circle with a question mark. They could and it's just an image, too. It's not even a 3D model. They could have easily just put, like, a cell phone in there or something and been like, no, look, my boyfriend's on my caller ID, so clearly I'm... or something like that. Like, and the vibrating part could have just been that the cell phone was vibrating.
Cell phone, right, okay.
They could have been clever in some way and changed that.
Yeah, sure.
Even so, you don't really have to. Like I said, you don't have to constantly be all PG, yay, Mario is, friendly, Nintendo. Yeah. You can have an edge and make some weird jokes like that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. But do you honestly think like the game would have been
a success
during the Wii era? Because I feel like it would be a success now if you put it on eShop because people are now aware of the quirkiness. They even have like trophies of Captain Rainbow and Smash Brothers. Like people know of the series now, so I feel like people would be more open to trying it. But I feel
that's why Chris Pranger's comments about how it wouldn't sell in the current market, I think, shows that maybe Nintendo is still out of date with reality, and they don't realize that the current market has in fact changed to benefit games like Captain Rainbow and in fact anything Skip would make.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I do think the market has changed, but I also think the example he was making with it being Captain Rainbow, I think if you look at that during the Wii era, he's kind of right. But I agree with you that his comments, I think, are a little bit out of touch in regards to the way that the industry works now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but his comments, I believe, really were about whether bringing Captain Rainbow over now, he's more or less saying still isn't a logical decision because it doesn't work in this current market. I
think, again, he had to have, added something to that, as a disc-based game. Because, again, as an eShop game, I think it would be fine. But as a disc-based game, that's not going to be a Splatoon or a Smash Brothers or a Mario Kart. It's just not going to sell that well.
No, it's not. But yeah. I don't think it needs to. Not every game needs to sell Smash and Mario Kart numbers in order to be a success. For example, Captain Rainbow was not made with the same budget as Mario Kart 8 or anywhere close to that. So you don't need to make as much.
But I think the time spent translating that stuff, I think I mean, time is money, and like Captain Rainbow does have a pretty big script, if I remember correctly, right?
It does. It does have a lot of text, but here's the thing. I was actually directly involved at one point with helping to translate the text with Captain Rainbow, because there's a fan translation, which we'll leave a link to in this description of the video. They've been working on translating all the text themselves, and it's like 3 people. Granted, it's taken them a long time, but they haven't been working on it nonstop, and they're not professionals at it. People at Nintendo of America's Treehouse should be to the point where they can easily, quickly translate this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the Treehouse guys are the best in the business when it comes down to, like, localization stuff. But because they're so swamped with everything else, I mean, even think about, like, the stuff that's out today. If they wanted to release a niche game and then add that to their schedule of stuff they already have. Because I don't know if Treehouse is working on, like, the Fire Emblem crossover, if they're giving that to Atlas to localize. But that plus the new Fire Emblem game, that's a lot of stuff to translate by itself. Plus, you got the Xenoblade Chronicles X game coming out, which arguably is kind of a niche title as well.
Well, plus, according to Chris Pranger, it is.
Well, I do still think Xenoblade Chronicles X is kind of like a niche title. And that's probably why they didn't rush to get it out as early as it was. Because I actually do think it would do better in like that December, November market when they're actually releasing it. Because people are more inclined to like buy it as a Christmas gift or something like that.
I feel that, like I said, I agree that Captain Rainbow is a hard sell. But I feel that if you're involved with marketing, you want that. You love the challenge of having to really be creative and sell a product that maybe isn't the easiest thing to sell. I think what it all comes down to is a lot of Nintendo's failures can be directly thrown at their marketing department, which I personally feel is atrociously bad. I
wouldn't say... I think this is something that I think is kind of an important... And again, we're not, like, working for Nintendo, so I feel like, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, so I don't think we can fully criticize them. But I will say this, is that when you look at their marketing on television, and you look at what they're doing with social media, it's as if it's 2 different companies.
Yeah, because I feel social media gets it.
Oh, they get it completely. I feel like... I don't know if you've been following, like, the Splatoon Tumblr page. Yeah, that is hysterical. Like, that's really, really funny. And I think even the stuff they've been doing on the Twitter is really good. I think the way that they've been... I don't know. I feel like their social media is, like, on point. But when it comes to down to, like, their TV campaigns, I'll always go back to that horrible City Folk campaign during the Wii era. Now, my mom... Sorry to get off topic a little bit, but this goes back to what you were saying. My mom is an enormous Animal Crossing fan. My mom is a middle-aged woman and loves Animal Crossing. Loves it. And that commercial they put out for City Folk, however many years ago that was, where it was like the 2 women sitting at home like, oh, let's pick seashells and watch fireworks, yay. And their voice was literally that, like it was this like oh,
lobotomy.
Soft tone. Yeah, it was boring. My mom watched that, and she was the direct audience that they were appealing to, and she was like, what the hell is this? Like, what is this? And she specifically went out and did not buy City Folk because of that commercial. Because she's like, what is new to it? What's new? I had to go and buy it for her for Christmas and give it to her and be like, trust me, there's new stuff in this. You'll enjoy this. And then she sat down and played it, and she was like, why it wasn't all this city stuff in the commercial? Why didn't they show off all these other features? Why did they show me the same thing that I've already seen before? And I do feel like that's kind of been the problem with everything in terms of like TV marketing with Nintendo recently. I feel like other than maybe the Squid Kid thing, I feel like the Squid Kid campaign was really
like
good.
A rare success.
Diamond in the rough. Yeah, I agree with you.
In a sea of failure.
Yeah, I think, and even then, I feel like they got lucky. I feel like they got lucky with the "you're a kid, you're a squid" thing.
Yeah, because, they did.
Like I think like the general audience got that it was kind of like on the nose, funny, making fun of like '90s kids kind of stuff. Like they got that, but that could have very easily like had one wrong Tumblr post gone out. A lot of people could have been like, wow, what a marketing disaster for Splatoon. You're a kid, you're a squid. What's with this horrible song, you know? So I do think that was a risk, and I think that was a calculated risk, and I think they did really well with that. But there's been so many other campaigns like, oh God, like the, I don't know. I'm not going to get into it, but I just feel
even if they're not terrible, even if they're not outwardly terrible, they're dull and bland and uninspired. If you look at the commercials for Super Mario 3D World, Pikmin 3, Mario Kart 8, they're all so phoned in.
The Pikmin 3 commercial made me want to puke. I remember seeing that with the little kid running around, like,
and
with
then the CGI
things.
characters.
Oh
put into
my
the
god!
They do that
compare
nonstop.
that. Oh, you compare that to the one that they had in Japan, where it was like this, like they had a celebrity just sitting down interacting with Pikmin, and it was like way more enjoyable to
Very
watch.
Simple, but it really made you interested.
They could have easily shelled out for like Diana Agron to sit down and talk to CG Pikmin, and I would have been more interested in that than like watching the little kid run around.
Right, and here's the other thing. Remember the advertisement for Pikmin 2? It was a bunch of little people in Pikmin costumes running around, making little squeaking noises, doing things for some guy, like getting a hot dog. And that was like funny. That was like strange and, made you interested. Now
and that's very much in line with what they're doing on social media right now, too, which I think is kind of what you're going to bring up.
Right.
Yeah, so.
I mean, we're getting away from Captain Rainbow, but I think this all relates to Captain Rainbow because Nintendo doesn't want to bring Captain Rainbow because they don't know how to sell it, and they don't know how to sell it because they don't have the people who know how to market their games.
I feel like at this point, Captain Rainbow is probably never going to get released here, to be honest.
I mean, you know what? It's going to, but it's going to because of the really passionate fans that are going to do it themselves.
Maybe. Yeah. One day it'll get released here on eShop or something.
No. I mean, like the fan translation is going to happen. You will play Captain Rainbow in English, and it will be grand, and you're going to be like, oh my god, why didn't Nintendo make this game for us? And yeah.
Part of me still wishes, though, that like they would take the time to translate it. Because, like, I mean, no knocks to like the Mother 3 guys who were like translating that game. But, there was a whole team that translated Mother 3 and put it out. And then they were like, hey, we'll tell Treehouse you can use our translation. And to me, like, if I worked in Treehouse, I would have been like, what? Like, that's like a huge slap in the face. Because, like, the Treehouse guys are professionals. Like, they know what they're doing. And I would much rather see a Treehouse localized Mother 3 than a fan translation. But if a fan translation's all we're going to get, I'm not going to complain. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So.
I do think that if Nintendo, because, look, the Wii U doesn't have much coming out. I mean, the Wii U is dying. It's on life support. Look at the stuff that's coming out. It doesn't have much life left in it. So if they were to be like, hey, let's get a small team together to translate Captain Rainbow. It's this game that some, like people on the internet know about. It's this thing. Let's just translate it as like a service to fans, and it'll be something quirky that we can put out on the Wii U eShop. They've done that with Earthbound and a few other games. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Will they do it? No, they won't do it because that's something that would be amazing. And Nintendo's not in the market to do amazing things anymore for the Wii U. There, I said it. Deal with it. Boom.
Dang. Wow. Those are some heavy words, man. I don't know about that.
They are some heavy words. And by the way, fans of Xenoblade Chronicles, Chris Pranger also had some comments about Xenoblade, saying...
I agreed with what he said, though. I actually, as a fan of Xenoblade, I'm really feeling it with Shulk. I understand what he was saying here. Actually, let me read exactly what he said, actually, to your viewers. So he said, you look at something like even Xenoblade Chronicles. People love that game, within a certain group. That game is not the type of game that just pulls in enough to justify the costs on its own. So that's like, we got it in the States by luck, because Nintendo of Europe decided, okay, we'll take the fall, we'll localize that. Okay, because someone is going to have to eat the cost somewhere, and because that game is guaranteed not to sell enough to justify how much, or how big that game is. Hundreds of hours, all voiced. That's a lot of money that goes into that. And actually, I agree with him on the topic of Xenoblade Chronicles. But when you look at that, like he said, it's because NOE took the fall. NOE translated that game, said, you know what, okay, we'll do this, and then we'll put out the same translation in both markets. And I think eventually, maybe, I don't know sales numbers for Xenoblade Chronicles, but I feel like them doing that eventually made the environment better, the sales environment better for Xenoblade Chronicles X. I feel like that is going to sell better simply because of the localization of Xenoblade Chronicles. I think even the localization of Xenoblade Chronicles is kind of what brought Shulk into Smash Brothers, to be honest, too. Because I feel like Shulk could have been in Smash Brothers as sort of like a Fire Emblem thing, because really Sakurai bit the bullet and said, okay, we're going to put Fire Emblem characters in here because I want to see that series localized. But I still feel like a lot of the reason why Shulk is so popular within Smash Brothers and within that community is solely because a lot of the people who are Smash Brothers players are also fans of Xenoblade. But I agree with him that I don't think it's enough of a mainstream game. I don't think Xenoblade Chronicles X is enough of a mainstream game, too. I think it is extraordinarily honorable what NOA is doing, localizing that game, because the cost is not going to justify the work they put into it. I really don't think it's going to. I feel like the final sales numbers for Xenoblade Chronicles X, when they finally come in North America, I don't think it's going to be what they were hoping for, simply based on Wii U's install base alone, So I actually kind of agree with him on the topic of Xenoblade.
Well,
I just disagreed with him with Captain Rainbow because I feel like that's something they could toss on eShop, you know?
And they'd be able to, and they would make money. They would profit.
Yeah, they'd make big. Yeah.
They would, because there's not a lot of, it's just translate the text. The game's done. Just put it up, and there you go.
Yeah.
Now, here's my problem. This is the whole thing with the whole issue with Captain Rainbow and many games like it that don't get translated. I think just is something that really is unsettling for me, because it's almost like Nintendo is too Japanese for its own good. There are too many. I mean, you know, if you lived in Japan and you spoke Japanese, you'd be experiencing Nintendo in its truest sense. But if you don't live in Japan, well, you're really not going to be able to experience everything Nintendo offers. Oh, man.
Part of me has like a weeaboo alarm going off in my head, like, weeaboo, weeaboo.
Me?
Yeah.
No, what I'm saying
I know,
is, like,
I know you're not. I don't mean it like seriously. I'm just laughing because you're the guy who's always like, anime stuff. I never want to play Fire Emblem.
I'm anti.
Yeah, I know, but you're the same guy.
What I'm saying, though, is, I mean, I'm amazed they translated Splatoon, because that's very weird and strange. Like, I wonder what made them have faith in Splatoon. Usually Nintendo of America is deathly afraid of anything that's quirky and not Mario or Zelda.
I feel like Splatoon, though, is enough of like a... I don't know.
It's weird. Splatoon is weird, man.
Splatoon's really weird. But
it's very Japanesey with its squid and...
Sure. Squid kids and all that stuff. I know, but I
tentacles.
still feel like... But I still feel like Splatoon, at the end of the day, gameplay-wise, on the sole basis of it being a shooter... had a better chance in North America.
It does, yeah. I mean, more than Captain Rainbow, yes. But I'm just saying that's a game that was weird. It's a game that they definitely took a risk developing, and it paid off big time. Yeah. So if you're going to constantly be afraid of your own shadow, Nintendo, you're going to find it hard to actually find success with more niche ideas. So maybe take more of a risk, because when you take risks, that's when you're going to find massive success. Little known fact, the Wii was a drastically different way of playing video games. That was a big-ass risk, and it paid off hugely. I wouldn't say that's a little known fact. Wait, what?
I said I wouldn't say that's a little known fact. I feel like we revolutionized
it. And it's because it was so strange and different. Don't be afraid of making a strange and different game and getting behind it and getting a smart marketing team to sell it. Captain Rainbow could have had some sort of advertising campaign that was like, Mario, Link, Samus. These characters are not in this game, but the unpopular Nintendo characters are, and like show like all these unpopular, forgotten Nintendo characters. So if they
could you imagine if they marketed it like that? Nobody would buy that.
Right, but that's what's funny. That's what's hilarious about it. Like, this game has the characters you don't want to play as, and that in a way is intriguing because it's like, wait, what? They're being that bold with it? Okay, I'm interested now.
Okay.
Using Mario and popular characters and being like, they're not in this game. But these characters are. Would have been cute. Would have been clever. I'm just saying, and you know, in America, we don't like superheroes. We hate superheroes in America. We never watch anything with superheroes. Ugh, gross. Wait a minute. No, we kind of pretty much invented the modern day superhero. So maybe
superhero genre is pretty much like the thing making bank in North American cinemas.
So why not take advantage of that right now and release Captain Rainbow on the Wii U eShop? Yeah. Oh, I know why, because there's like so many awesome Wii U games coming out, so there's no room.
Oh, man, come on. You can't be doing this to people, Josh. Hey, we got Star Fox and Mario Maker at least.
Yeah, we got Star Fox, but it kind of looks meh, and the controls are awful.
All right.
So,
Hey, on the bright side, NX is next year.
NX is next year! I'm excited!
And the dislikes roll in!
So, yeah, I mean, I think we've pretty much yelled at Chris Pranger enough. I mean, it wasn't yet. I mean, you know what? I disagree with his comments. I think that some of his comments could have been worded better because he comes off as being snarky. And I think Nintendo would be wise to start giving Skip... Well, Skip is pretty much dead. Nintendo killed him. But it would have been nice to see a few more Skip games make it over and get translated because, you know, you never know when you're going to strike lightning and finally find that audience that's really going to want to play them.
Is Skip developing the Chibi-Robo that's on the
No, that's like Skip and Vanpool, and that Chibi-Robo game coming to the 3DS is friggin' trash. Chibi-Robo zip trash.
I actually enjoyed the little jet ski thing we played at E3.
It was nothing like a Chibi-Robo.
Well, I know, it was a minigame. If it was like a $1 thing that I download on the eShop, dude,
it's a full $40 release.
I know it is. That's why I'm like, ooh. But I really liked that little minigame.
Dude, the art style is so You know what they did? Nintendo has this big machine at their headquarters. And it's a machine that takes a very awesome game character and they make them into a generic 2D platformer.
Oh, boy.
That's what they do. They do Donkey Kong, Kirby, Yoshi, Mario. Chibi-Robo doesn't sell well? Just make him a 2D platformer. That'll make him sell well. F it. Forget about creativity. Forget about, dignity in the brand. Just do it. Just do it. 2D platformer.
I mean, I agree with you that I feel like the market's a little oversaturated with 2D platformers right now, at least from Nintendo. I'm waiting for like that real 3D platform. I mean, you could make it with Mario World, but I mean,
Playtonic Games,
whatever,
baby.
But...
Playtonic Games is going to come and save us all.
Bring it back,
Jesus.
baby.
Bring back the 3D platformer.
Let's play this.
I hope that sets a trend. I hope that wakes people up and that we start to get those amazing 3D platformers again instead of this 2D platforming. It's not even garbage. It's just so overdone. It's actually
really good. It's just there's so much of it.
Like Yoshi's Woolly World.
I really enjoyed Tropical Freeze, for example.
Yeah, great game. Yoshi's Woolly World's fun.
I absolutely do not want Retro to make another 2D Donkey Kong game. For a long time. Make another one. That's like a waste of talent. Don't do it.
Yep.
We have 2 good ones now. We don't need another one right now. If you need to make another one, go make it somewhere else. I don't need another Donkey Kong Country.
Yep. I want more 3D games.
We're getting super off topic, Josh.
We are, but it all kind of stems from it still branches coming out of the roots of why isn't Captain Rainbow available in English?
I guess.
So anyways, I guess we should probably wrap this up. Yeah. Captain Rainbow, it's going to eventually get translated by fans. I will definitely be talking about that. I'll probably do like a playthrough of the entire game when it's in English. But Roger, where can people find you?
Roger's based everywhere. I feel like most of you guys know this by now. Roger's based on Twitter. Roger's based on Twitch. Roger's based on Miiverse. Roger's based on YouTube. Roger's based on Instagram. And Roger's based on Facebook. Look at that.
Yep. I'm looking forward to Chris Pranger's official apology.
He's not going to apologize. Nor do I think he should. I think he should stand by what he said.
Yeah, I just think that next time he should probably be a little bit more respectful of Nintendo's hardcore fans that stick by them. That's all I'm saying.